Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be answering a question. A few weeks ago, I posted a video called Magic for Senior Adults. And I was really happy to be doing that video. And I think it's one of my better vlog videos. So if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. But there was a person who watched Jason Heiss, H-I-C-E, and he asked this question: thanks for the video, David. Could you talk a little bit more about going from a shorter program to a 60-minute show? One of the points that I made during the course of that video was that you need to be doing at least 60 minutes when you perform in that venue. And there are a lot of venues that expect you to do 60 solid minutes of magic. So the question is, well, how do I get 60 minutes of magic? You know, I mean, if you're doing children's programs, you're probably doing 30 to 45 minutes for a children's program. You're probably not used to that extra 45 minutes that carries you into an hour, a solid hour. I do a solid hour. I'll start, for example, at 1 o'clock. I finish a little bit after 1. I want to give people a sense that they're getting their money's worth, you know. So I never finish before 2 o'clock when I have a 1 o'clock start time. I do a solid hour. So here's my recommendation for you if you're not used to doing this. Number 1, start with the classics. What do I mean by classics? I mean the linking rings, the cups and balls, the chop cup, the cut and restored rope, the professor's nightmare, the egg bag. Start with the classics and hone them and develop them and work with them. Now, you might say, well, gosh, I put together all the classics I know. I don't have 60 minutes worth of material. So here's what you're going to do. You get your program together. You set a timer. Or you look at the clock. There's a couple ways to do it. You can look at the clock before you begin. You write down the time. You write down the time at the end. You know exactly how much time you went. Another alternative is to use a stopwatch. Just set it for 60 minutes. Go. And you run through your material. Now, I will say this about rehearsing 2 o'clock. You're going to rehearse slower then you're going to perform. And the reason for that is when you're in a real performance situation, you're nervous and you move a little faster than you do. And even if you're trying to compensate for that in rehearsal, you're going to move quicker in actual practice. Another thing that happens often in a real life performance situation is you make a decision. You're looking at your audience and you make a decision, this trick is not right for this audience, and you drop it. So there's lots of reasons why you want to over rehearse your time. Another thing that I do and I recommend to you is I always perform. I always bring roughly an hour and a half, an hour 15 minutes to an hour and a half worth of material, and then I edit the show as I'm going, depending on what's happening and how I feel and how the audience is responding. I'll make decisions about, well, I don't really want to do that. I want to do this. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. So I'm actually adjusting my show as I go. Now the purists in theater, man, they're going to take gas when I say that. I mean, man, you're supposed to be working with a script. You're supposed to memorize the script. It's supposed to be like acting. Yeah, well, I don't do that. I don't do that. I bring about an hour and a half worth of material and I do a solid hour. That's what I do. So you start with the classics, you time your rehearsals, you go through and you let's say your first rehearsal is 35 minutes. So, okay, so what else can I do? All right, so what else can I do? So you're looking to bring in other material. Now, something that you should be doing anyway is you should be bringing in your outside interests. I love history. I love it. Let me tell you a quick little story and anecdote. So I'm working at a retirement center, and at this particular retirement center, these people they just love the show. You know, it's as close to a standing ovation as I can get in a place like this. But they just loved the show. And they lingered after they wanted to chat with me. And one of them said, now this is a whole bunch of people talking or having a conversation after the show. And the person says, you know, your magic was great. But those stories you told, oh, they were so good. And the history was excellent. So I brought in a lot of material that has nothing to do with magic. Now, I'll give you some concrete examples. I do a trick called Trilogy that I got from Alakazam. If you're familiar with the trick, it's basically the cards are marked. They have numbers on the back of them. One person names an odd number. One person names an even number. Another person names a card, any number. And those three cards match the prediction. Simple enough. It's a great trick. I love Trilogy. You should definitely look into it if you don't have it already. But I tell a history of Ocean City, my favorite place in the world. I'm passionate about Ocean City. In the last 2 years, my wife and I have been able to save our money, get our money together, and purchase a condo in Ocean City, Maryland. We just love the place. It is my happy place on earth. And when I talk about it and I talk about the history of the place, that passion comes through and it's infectious. And I tie the routine into a history of Ocean City, and it just is a wonderful performance piece. Another piece that I do, there's a trick described in 13 Steps to Mentalism called Third Choice. And I give a history of the Titanic, not just the facts and figures, but some anecdotes that people generally don't know. I talk about some specific people that survived and some specific people that did not survive. And then we do a sort of living dead test. And that piece is absolute. It's been one of the crowning hallmarks of my show for many years. And that piece has evolved, and it constantly evolves because I constantly get new information that I'm tying into the show. So what I'm saying is you should have outside interests. You should be bringing those into your magic. The other thing that you want to do as you begin to perform, serendipitous things are going to occur. Lines, you're going to think of lines. For example, I do a card trick, and I'll never forget, and I've told this story before to you, but when I had someone select a card and they're blind, and I tell that story when I have a card selected to explain why I'm having them keep the card, and it's hysterical. They love the story. It gets a laugh. It's a true story. It happened to me, but you acquire those things and you tie them into your show. So in summary then, you want to focus on the classics. You want to rehearse to a clock, so you want to rehearse so that your show is in excess of 60 minutes, so that you can edit when you're at the actual show. You want to relax during your performance time and have a conversation as opposed to delivering lines. You want to have a conversation. You want to have a rapport. You want to build on that. Pull from your outside interests. And think it. Let a trick marinate. And what I mean by that is begin to think about it and just carry it around with you and walk around with a pad and a pen and jot down ideas that will definitely be occurring to you, and then integrate those into your routine. And that, I believe, is how you build a 60-minute show. Hey, folks, thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below. I love your comments. Please subscribe if you've not done so already. Have a great day, everyone.